Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We got a fun one prepared today. What we'll be doing is we'll be doing our Week 16 NFL picks. We're going to completely break down every single matchup we have for Week 16 of the 2024 NFL football season. We're going to predict who's going to win, who's going to lose, what the final score will be. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Every week we go over every single NFL game. We also do the same thing for every college football game. And we have the college football playoffs coming up this weekend. If you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can follow along with us. We are also going to briefly touch on the best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But let's go ahead and get things started. We have a lot of games because we have no teams on bye weeks right now. The very first one we have kicking things off December 19th is, of course, our Thursday night game. This is the prime game at 8:15 p.m. We have the 9-5 Denver Broncos coming off a win. We did pick them to win versus the 8-6 LA Chargers here. Two dominating defensive teams. Right now, the Chargers have a 57.7% chance to win this game. They are 3-point favorites at home, and the over in here is 42.5. Denver, Sean Payton, props to him. He's really gotten the best play out of Bo Nix. Really sloppy start first two games of this season. Since then, they've been playing within his skill set, dinking, dunking, giving him the option to run. They're averaging 24 points a game, throwing for 202.7, running for 108.4, only giving up 17.6 points a game. That is a top 5 total defense in the NFL. Right now, Bo Nix closing in on 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks. Stay within your skill set. You have a chance to get the upset on the road. For the Chargers, they come into this game limping. They are starting to throw the ball a lot more down the field because Justin Herbert, 16 touchdowns, only 2 picks so far, and it's Week 16. He's closing on 3,000 yards himself. But this is a hardball team. They run the ball. They play elite level defense. They have one of the best defenses in the nation, but J.K. Dobbins, he's out. When he's healthy, he's able to lead this game on the ground, but they've been struggling to run the ball without him. Right now, they're averaging 21 points a game, throwing for 196.4, running for 105.8, also only giving up 17.6 points a game. They do give up a lot of run yards. They give up 125 yards on the ground. There will be opportunities for Denver to run the ball. Can they control time of possession? Can they dominate this game? This game is going to come down to the line of scrimmage. Who's going to own it in the trenches? Right now, the Chargers, though, are the healthier team. Right now, I have Denver pulling off the upset, winning this one 24-21. Then we're going to be moving on to our Saturday matchups. We actually have 2 Saturday matchups this week. Don't forget, we have the college football playoffs started off, so the games are starting to get shuffled. Saturday, December 21st, we're going to have the 9-5 Houston Texans versus the 13-1 Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs. Right now, the Chiefs have a 53.4% chance to win this game, but it's actually Houston who comes in here 3-point favorites, the over-under 41.5. Houston's coming off that really close win versus the Dolphins. They're playing pretty well right now. They don't have Diggs, but having Nico Collins back is a game changer. He's a top 5 wide receiver when he's on the field. Stroud's closing on 3,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. They're averaging 23.4. Throwing for 212.8, running for 111.4, giving up 21.4 points a game. Mixon was a little banged up this past weekend, but when you have him and you have Collins, that's a pretty good 1-2 running back wide receiver combo. And for Kansas City, the big question is Patrick Mahomes going to play? Right now, he's listed as questionable, high ankle sprain. This is a team. This is a veteran team. As you get closer to the playoffs, that's when the Chiefs actually start playing their best football. They're built for the second half, and they have the defense to keep these games close. If it's not for Mahomes, it's probably going to be Carson Wentz. Right now, Kansas City, they're averaging 23.5. Throwing for 224.1, running for 112.1, only giving up 18.5 points a game, only giving up 91.9 on the ground. That's what they're going to try to do. They have a top 5 defense. Their defense is going to try to bottle up the Texans, keep Stroud in that pocket, force him into third and long situations. They live on the turnover. They do give their offense the short field a lot. This is an aggressive Super Bowl caliber defense, and Kansas City starting to get healthy. Pacheco, Hunt, Kelsey, worthy. That big question mark is going to be Patrick Mahomes. They have a obviously very serviceable backup. I'm going to go out on a ledge here. I have Patrick Mahomes playing this game, even if they have to roll him out onto the field, and I have Kansas City pulling off the win. Still, everything seems to be going in their favor this season. They win this one 24-20. Then our second Saturday game at 4:30 p.m. on Fox, the 10-4 Pittsburgh Steelers versus the 9-5 Baltimore Ravens. Right now, Baltimore 66.8% chance to win this game. They are 6-point favorites. The over here is going to be 44.5. This is round 2. Steelers took round 1. The Steelers defense dominated that game, kept the score really down. That is the Tomlin team. The defense running the ball. Every score with the Steelers is always a one-possession score. Whether they win or lose, they keep the game very close, mainly based off of that defense. But Baltimore, they want revenge. They have a top 3 scoring offense in the NFL, number 2 rushing offense in the NFL. They want to get back to moving the ball. They want to dominate on the ground in the trenches this game. And Lamar Jackson's definitely going to try to have a big game. Right now for the Steelers, they have Russell Wilson. They're averaging 24 points a game, throwing for 198.9, running for 126.6, giving up 18.9 points a game, only giving up 94 on the ground. It's strength on strength. One of the best rush defenses versus the number 2 overall rush offense. Who's going to win? It will come down to the trenches and who can consistently do it the best over 4 quarters. Lamar Jackson's putting up MVP numbers, 3,600 passing yards, 34 passing touchdowns, only 3 picks, and he has 3 rushing touchdowns. Video game numbers, they're averaging 29.9. That's a top 3 offense, throwing for 245.6, running for 178.4, very balanced, giving up 23.7. Looking at Pittsburgh, Najee Harris has been banged up. Pickens has big banged up. How healthy will the Steelers be? Will their defense be able to carry the weight as it usually does? And for Baltimore, Henry, almost 1,500 rushing yards. Flowers, Andrews, likely weapons up and down the field. One of the most loaded offensive rosters. I have Baltimore splitting this, taking round 2, winning 25-17. And then on CBS at 1 p.m., the 3-11 Cleveland Browns, who are obviously much better than their record, but they are having an awful season, especially on offense. They're having issues consistently moving the ball. They'll be playing the 6-8 Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati 62% chance to win this game, 7.5-point favorites. The over here is 46.5. This is a Cleveland team that struggles to move the ball versus a Bengals team, one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL. Their biggest issue is they can't stop anyone from scoring. One of the worst defenses. Top 5 offense, bottom 5 defense, but thankfully for them, Cleveland is not built to get into a shootout. Right now, the Browns are averaging 17.1, throwing for 217.5, only running for 92.1, giving up 25.4 points a game. Cincinnati, they're averaging 28.5, throwing for 271.4, giving up 91.1. Both of the teams a little bit struggling to move the ball on the ground, but they give up 27.6 points a game. This is an atrocious defense, but Joe Burrow obviously leading the NFL in passing, just shy of 4,000 yards, 36 touchdowns, 8 picks. Right now, they have the playmakers, Brown, Chase, Higgins. They should be able to dominate this game on both sides. The Browns are going to struggle trying to keep up. Trying to outscore Cincinnati could potentially lead to a lot of turnovers from the Browns. We have Cincinnati winning this one 30-21 and slowly chipping their way back to 500. And then on 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 2-12 New York Giants, a 9-game losing streak right now. They might be the worst team in the NFL. They probably have the worst offense in the NFL versus the 7-7 Atlanta Falcons. Finally got a win this past week. They need to continue, try to turn that into some momentum. And this team, on roster paper-wise, much better than their 7-7 record. But Kirk Cousins, you got to keep the turnovers down. Right now, Atlanta, 71.2% chance to win this game, 8.5-point favorites. The over here is 40.5. The Giants, they might be back to DeVito at the starting quarterback. They're averaging 14.9 points a game, running for 111.3, throwing for 185.1, giving up 23.4, which actually isn't bad considering their defense is on the field pretty much the entire game. They have Tracy Juniors. They have Neighbors. Neighbors is really good. He's been a little banged up the last few weeks, but when he can consistently get the ball, he can make playmakers. That's where they're struggling at, getting a quarterback who can consistently feed him the ball in space. And for the Falcons, Cousins, not having the best year. They might be going with Penix this game. Cousins just way too many turnovers, as many turnovers as interceptions. No matter what, they still have the more talented roster, no matter who they roll out at quarterback. Right now, Atlanta, they're averaging 20.9, throwing for 238.9. They are running for 124.2, giving up 24.4 points a game, and the offensive roster loaded. Algiers, Robinson, Pitts, Mooney, London, weapons up and down the field. There's no reason to force anything here. Just give the ball to your playmakers. Let them make a play. Take what the defense gives you and let them do the rest. We have Atlanta continuing to win, winning this one 24-14. And then on Fox at 1 p.m., the 7-7 Arizona Cardinals versus the 3-11 Carolina Panthers. Arizona, which version of the Cardinals is going to show up this game? They are still in playoff contention. They're very flip-floppy. Play a good week, play a bad week. Thankfully for them, Carolina, they only have 3 wins, but Carolina has been playing better since Bryce Young came back as the starting quarterback. But right now, the Cardinals, 74.6% chance to win this game. They are 4.5-point favorites. The over here is 46.5. Looking at these rosters here, Kyler Murray doing a lot of things. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. Whenever he takes off, he has the mobile factor. That's what can potentially change this game, is what he does with his legs, scrambling for first downs, but always keeping his eye looking down the field. Right now, he's closing in on 3,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. He also has, I think, 4 rushing touchdowns. Right now, they're averaging 22.4. Throwing for 209.9, running for 141.5, giving up 21.9 points a game. The pass rush, much improved over last season. And on the other side, Bryce Young, 8 touchdowns, 9 picks. He's going to have to play a clean game here, but it all depends on which version of the Cardinals actually show up. They're averaging 17.6, throwing for 186, running for 102.9, giving up 29.4 points a game. This is the worst defense in the NFL, but it's actually playing a lot better than it was playing. They were giving up 34.4, so they're slowly working that number down because their offense is starting to get some first downs. When the Cardinals are healthy, Connor, McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., a lot of weapons they can spread the ball out to. And on the other side, so much hinges on a healthy Chuba Hubbard. When you know he's going to run the ball, he's still picking up his yardage on the ground. But we need to see Chuba Hubbard have a good game and him be healthy here for the Carolinas to be able to keep up with the Arizona Cardinals. We have the Cardinals winning this game, getting over 500, continuing that potential playoff run. They win this one 28-21. And then at 1 p.m. on Fox, the 12-2 Detroit Lions finally coming off of a loss versus the 4-10 Chicago Bears, who basically, since that Hail Mary disaster loss, they have not been able to get things back on track, but completely struggling. The offensive line has been playing a little better. They've been buying Caleb Williams some time. Caleb Williams, when you have that time, don't hold the ball too long. But still, overall, the offense is still struggling. Right now, the Lions, the number 1 offense in the NFL. They have a 71.9% chance to win this game. They come into this game very, very injured, but still probably playing the best overall football in the NFL. 6.5-point favorites here on the road. The over-under is 47.5. Goff having a great season, back to 2023 form. He's closing in on 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. They're averaging 32.8. They're throwing for 260.1. They're running for 143.7, giving up 20.1 points a game. And for Chicago, right now, Caleb Williams, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks, not having a bad season by any means, but they need to work on a couple things on the offensive side, but they do have a really good defense here at home. They're averaging 19 points a game, throwing for 181.9, running for 106.4, giving up 22.2 points a game. They have Swift, Moore, Odunze, Allen. They don't have a bad offensive roster by any means. But on the other side, they did lose Montgomery. That's a massive loss at the running back position. But thankfully for them, they still have Gibbs. St. Brown, obviously, he's a top 5, a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Has massive games in big moments. That shootout loss to the Bills was a fun game. They lost it, but man, that game was a shootout. It went back and forth. We're going to go with the Lions getting back on track here, winning this one, even though they're shorthanded, 27-18. And then at 1 p.m. on Fox, the 12-2 Philadelphia Eagles. Who wants to play the Eagles right now? Playing great on both sides of the ball. Playing the 9-5 Washington Commanders. Washington wants this game. They want a rematch win. And their offense is an offense that can actually make this a competitive game. Right now, the Eagles, 58.8% chance to win this game. 3.5-point favorites. The over here is 45.5. Hurts is doing good things. The reason the Eagles are playing so well is, yes, their defense. They're playing turnover-free football. He's closing in on 2,900 yards, 18 passing touchdowns, 5 picks. He has 14 rushing touchdowns. They're averaging 26.4. That's a top 7 offense. They throw for 187. They have the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL, running for 186.2. When you can run the ball, you can control time of possession. Top 5 defense, giving up 17.6. Saquon Barkley is 12 yards shy of 1,700 this season. He might potentially hit 2,000 yards this year. They have A.J. Brown, Smith, and for Washington, Jaden Daniels doing what he does, throwing the ball, running the ball. They're averaging 28.3. That is also a top 7 offense. They're throwing for 218.4, running for 155.5, giving a 22.5. They have Robinson Jr., Scary Terry. They have the weapons to potentially make this a really competitive game. If the Eagles don't bring their A game, they can drop this one on the road. But as of right now, they've been playing too good, and it's that defense. Defense travels with you on the road. I have the Eagles winning this one 28-21. 22-23. So a pretty close win. And then at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 3-11 Tennessee Titans. Sometimes they have really competitive games. Sometimes they just turn the ball over so much they get blown out. They'll be playing the 6-8 Colts. Right now, the Colts have a 59.9% chance to win this game. They are 3.5-point favorites. The over and here is 43.5. Tennessee, Rudolph, Levis, no matter who you roll out at quarterback, they are struggling to consistently move the ball, get first downs. They are struggling to score, and they are committing way too many turnovers, averaging 18.1, throwing for 190.6, running for 110.4, giving up 27.1 points again. They actually don't give up very many yards on defense. It's just their offense puts their defense in bad positions because they consistently turn the ball over on their own side of the field. Pollard having a great season, Ridley having a great season, and for the Colts, they went away from Flacco. They brought out Richardson. I've said since he was in college, the guy is not an accurate passer by any means. He can run, but he's not accurate. He's not going to vertically beat you through the air. Right now, the Colts are averaging 20 points a game, throwing for 190.4, running for 120.9, giving up 23.5. Pierce has been banged up. Jonathan Taylor, you got to play a little smarter than what happened this past week. You got to make sure you hold the ball into the end zone. But the Colts overall should be able to pull off a win here. But this is the type of game Tennessee can get the upset on. But we have the Colts winning this one at home, 20-17. And then on CBS at 1 p.m., the 8-6 LA Rams, much better than their record when they got all their offensive weapons back that took this offense to another level, which is also buying their defense time. They'll be playing the 4-10 New York Jets, whose offense has been playing really good the last month and a half, but they've had a lot of close one possessions lost. They finally got that fourth win, though. Right now, the Rams, 51.1% chance to win this game, 3-point favorites. The over-under's 46.5. They're averaging 22.1. They have the veteran Stafford closing on 3,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. They're throwing for 232, running for 106, giving up 24.1 points a game. But it's the offensive weapons. Nakua, Williams, Cooper Kupp, Atwell. There's weapons up and down this field. Any game could potentially turn into a shootout, and they are able to match you blow for blow. And for the Jets, Rodgers actually having a good season so far, closing on 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 picks. They're averaging 20.2, throwing for 217.3, running for 89.7. They got to get the rush yards up so that they can open up some play action, and they're giving up 23.2. They have Breece Hall, Wilson, Lazard, and Devontae Adams at just shy of 200 yards this past week. And obviously, he has a connection to Rodgers. This is a game that the Jets can pull it off. They're cruising right now on offense, but the Rams' offense is at another level. We have LA winning on the road, 24-20. And then at 4:05 p.m. on Fox, the 12-2 Minnesota Vikings. Another team, great start to the season so far. Props to Sam Darnold. Props to this team playing really well. This is a team that's just cruising right now leading up to the playoffs. But Seattle's actually playing really good football the last month. They'll be playing the 8-6 Seattle Seahawks. Right now, the Vikings have a 58.9% chance to win this game. They are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 42.5. Minnesota, they have a top 8 offense, averaging 26.4 points a game, throwing for 236.6, running for 113.2, only giving up 18 points a game. They have the top offense. They have a legitimate top 10 defense. And right now, they're only giving up 89 yards on the ground. They're going to make it very difficult for Seattle to run the ball. Seattle doesn't like to run the ball anyways, but you have to run the ball in some way. The Vikings are going to be getting a lot of pressure on Geno Smith. Getting pressure on him, can they force him into some errant throws, try to get some turnovers? He has 14 touchdowns, 13 picks. He could have a 3-touchdown game. He could technically have a 3-interception game. They're averaging 22.5, throwing for 240.4, running for 94.3, giving up 22.4 points a game. When their offense is healthy, when it's healthy, Walker, Smith, DK Metcalf, they have a lot of weapons there, but a lot hinges on Geno Smith having a turnover-free, clean football game. It's going to be easier said than done versus this Vikings defense, and the offense is going to put pressure on Seattle to match them blow for blow. We have Minnesota winning this one, 28-21. And then on CBS at 4:25 p.m., the 3-11 New England Patriots. They need a lot of weapons on offense. Drake May, he's not having a bad season, but he needs more weapons to distribute the ball to. They'll be playing the 11-3 Buffalo Bills, a team that dethroned the Detroit Lions. This team is rolling right now on both sides of the ball. But Josh Allen probably having his best overall season at the quarterback position. Buffalo has an 82.5% chance to win this game, 14-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5. For The Patriots, they're averaging 17 points a game, throwing for 173.2, running for 119.3, giving up 24.1 points a game. But it's Stevenson, Henry. They need to add more weapons to this roster. The Bills, this is a tough team to compete with. This is a divisional matchup here. Buffalo's going to put pressure on them offensively, put pressure on them defensively. Someone's going to have to step up on that offense. Looking at Buffalo, right now, Josh Allen closing in on 3,400 passing yards, 25 passing touchdowns, only 5 picks. He has 12 rushing touchdowns, just shy of 40 overall touchdowns so far by week 16. The number 2 overall offense, just barely behind the Lions. They're averaging 31.8, throwing for 238.8, running for 130.8, giving up 22.1 points a game. They have Cook, Shakir, Coleman, Cooper, weapons up and down this field. Josh Allen is cruising right now. Buffalo wins this one easily, 33-17. The next is the battle of who can get the 4 wins first. CBS at 4:25 p.m. The 3-11 Jacksonville Jaguars versus the 2-12 Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders, oh man, I don't know how many games they've lost straight, but they are a complete disaster so far this season. They are probably the worst team in the NFL. It would be between them and the Giants. I'd probably go with the Giants, though, beating the Raiders head-to-head. Right now, the Raiders, 57.6% chance to win this game, and they are actually 1-point favorites right now. They're finally a favorite. When was the last time the Raiders were favorites in this game? But Jacksonville is extremely banged up. They don't have Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones is filling in. He's a serviceable backup. He has a lot of starts under his belt, but he's throwing a lot of interceptions this season. They're averaging 18.8, throwing for 204.4, running for 101.6, giving up 26.9 points a game. They have a bottom 5 defense in the NFL, and they're giving up 264 passing yards per game. Very, very weak secondary, and they're struggling to get a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. For the Raiders, they've been shuffling quarterbacks. O'Connell, Minshew, doesn't really matter who they plug in at quarterback. They're not consistently moving the ball. They're only averaging 17.5, throwing for 221.1, running for 78.1, one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL. Like I said previously, if you can't run the ball, it puts a lot of pressure on your offense because you need some type of play action in order to be competitive in the NFL, and they're giving up 26.9 points a game. They don't give up too many passing yards per game. Jacksonville is going to have to win this game on the ground in the trenches. Too bad for Brock Bowers. If he had a serviceable quarterback, he'd probably be at 1,200 yards right now, but still having a really good rookie season. We're going to go with the Jags. We're going to go with the Jags pulling this one off on the road, beating the Raiders 23-20. And then at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, the 6-8 San Francisco 49ers. They went from the Super Bowl, almost winning the Super Bowl, top 3 offense, top 3 defense, to completely struggling this season. 2 games under 500, but they can still chip their way back to 500. They'll be playing the 6-8 Miami Dolphins, who basically also have to win out to have any potential shot to make the playoffs. Right now, the 49ers, 54.4% chance to win this game, but the Dolphins are actually 1.5-point favorites here. The over is 44.5. This game's not sub 30. So the Dolphins actually have a chance to win this one. San Francisco, when they're fully healthy, probably the best top-to-bottom roster in the NFL. But that's the thing. When they are fully healthy, they have yet to be fully healthy this entire season. Right now, Brock Purdy, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks, averaging 22.4. Throwing for 231.6, running for 133.5. They have not been struggling to move the ball, but they are struggling to score when they need to score and get stops when they need to get stops. They're giving up 22.9. When healthy, Mason, McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. I mean, there's just weapons up and down this field with this team. Jennings, so many weapons, but they have not been able to get entire offensive roster. Only probably getting about 60% of these guys on the field at one time. For Miami, Miami's just keeps letting me down whenever I pick the Dolphins. Tua, you have to play better. They are much better than the record. They were without Tua for 4 games. When he's there, they've actually had a top 5 offense since he's been back. But turnovers, not playing at the opportune times when you need to score. Right now they're averaging 19.7, throwing for 222.6, running for 101.4. They got to get that run game going. One of the best rush teams in the NFL last season, not so much this year. But they do actually have a top 5 rush defense. They have Tua, Achin, Mossert, Hill, Waddle, Berrios. Weapons up and down. Not the best season for Hill, but that all comes down to the quarterback position, getting consistent play. This game's a 50-50 pick on me. But I'm going to go again with the Dolphins. Don't let me down again. I have the Dolphins winning this one 24-18. But this is a game I don't want to go anywhere near it. And our final Sunday game, but second to last overall game, NBC, 8:20 p.m. The 8-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Props to the Buccaneers. Their offense is cruising right now. Baker Mayfield having one of the best passing seasons, picking things off where he left off last season. They lost Chris Godwin. They got Evans back. That offense has continued to cruise. They'll be playing the 6-8 Dallas Cowboys, who are actually playing much better football since Dak Prescott went out. Right now, Tampa Bay, they have a 70% chance to win this game. 4-point favorites. Over here is 48.5. They're having 28.8 points a game, a top 5 offense in the NFL. Throwing for 244, running for 144.4, giving up 23.1 points a game. And they don't have the best defense, but their offense makes up for it. Dallas does not have the full offensive firepower to make this into a shootout. Right now, Dallas, Cooper Rush playing solid football, filling in for Dak. 10 touchdowns, 3 picks. Very, very serviceable backup. They're averaging 21.3, throwing for 229.1, running for 99.8. They used to be in the 70s, so you see, since Cooper Rush has come in, they've actually gotten the run game going with Dowdle. They are giving up 27.1, so the defense is still extremely awful this season, but at least the offense has made up some ground. Dowdle, CeeDee Lamb, a legit wide receiver number 1, but someone else in that wide receiver room needs to step up, and on the other side, Irving, Evans. We're going to go with Tampa Bay winning this on the road, 27-18, but you really have to watch the Cowboys. They are playing much, much better football the last month. And our final game, our Monday night game at 8:15 p.m. on ESPN, the 5-9 New Orleans Saints versus the 10-4 Green Bay Packers. Right now, the Packers, 83.5% chance to win this game. They are 13.5-point favorites. Over here is 42.5. The big thing for the Saints is obviously Carr, extremely banged up. They come into this game limping at the quarterback position. They're averaging 22.1. Their roster is much better than the 5-9 record, but they have not been able to get everyone to play at the same time. Whenever one side plays well, the other side does not show up that game. If they all showed up on the same Sunday, this would be a really competitive team. They don't have a bad roster. They're throwing for 210.2, running for 124.4, giving up 22.3 points a game. Very Alvin Kamara-centric on offense. Running the ball, receiving the ball. Someone else needs to step up in that receiving room. He is way too much the number 1 vocal point of the offense. If you shut down Kamara, Saints are not moving the ball in any way whatsoever. The game should not be geared that way. And for Green Bay, Love missed, through 3 or 4 games, and he's still closing in on 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 picks. They have a top 7 offense, averaging 27.1, throwing for 231.4, running for 144.4. They can beat you through the air, they can beat you on the ground, and they have a defense to back it up, giving up 20.5 points a game. They're at home. Josh Jacobs closing in on 1,200 yards. They have Reed. They are the more multiple balanced team. We have Green Bay winning at home, but that is a massive NFL spread. But we have Green Bay winning this one, 24-14. So that's all of our predictions for all of our Week 16 NFL matchups. Make sure to hit that button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will always respond. Thank you.